Hey, you wild women. Here I am, Renee, coming at you with another wild take. A quickie to help you get through some mindset stuff today is about mindset shifts. That is, especially this one, that is responsible for 80% of your results. I'm going to say that's a statistic I made up because it is hyper relevant to me and the outcomes that I've tried to achieve in life. So today, I'm going to talk to you about a really simple concept that helped me go from believing that I deserved to become a really great at CrossFit, or to be able to homeschool my kids and travel the world, or to be able to launch a really cool event, or be friends with some pretty awesome people. And it's all about this mindset shift that is responsible for 80% of these shifts in my life. And I'm still working on it today. I've been inspired by Mel Robbins in this instance. I've been inspired by my husband, Dan Martell. I've been inspired by the people that I've worked with in my life. And right now, my co-host for the Pink Skirt Project, Anita Parker. I've been inspired by other podcast hosts because I see this fundamentally in the people that are successful at the things that they're trying to win at. Would you believe that 80% of your thoughts contribute to your outcomes? It's like the law of attraction. If you've ever read the book or done the courses, if you think it, it will happen. Or if you think it, it can happen. This is why having a positive mental attitude is important. You don't want to, quote, jinx the circumstance. So here's a little story about me is I've always been a person of doubt. I've always felt safety and security in having a plan B, C, D, or E, or maybe even Z. In my relationship, in my event, in traveling, whenever on my way to the airport and there's lots of time, like what happens if our flight's delayed? What if we miss our connection? What happens if we lose our luggage? I always think of worst case scenarios. And I think it's not ill on me to prepare for certain circumstances, but it used to get to the point where it was so constant that I was having so much doubt and such negative mental attitude that I wasn't enjoying my time. Like here's a perfect situation. I was flying to Hawaii with my husband back in March, and the season of snow was supposed to be done in Kelowna. And as we are driving to the airport that morning, we had a connection in Vancouver so Kelowna, Vancouver to Honolulu. And we are driving to the airport and they're like, it kind of starts to snow a little bit and there's no warnings or anything. And so I'm looking at the weather. It's like maybe a little bit of snow. We check in, everything's fine. Then we start boarding the plane. And literally we had to walk from the airport to our plane. This was like one of those like end of the terminal kind of gates. So as we're walking, because we're one of the first to board, we're in the front of the plane, I noticed that the snow's kind of getting a little bit heavier. And I'm thinking, you know what? I know, this plane has to board fast because we have a tight window before we won't be able to take off. And for some reason, it was delayed. There were people taking their sweet ass time. So the plane boards and then the announcer comes on and they say, we have to wait for the de-icing because of the snow that's accumulated on the wings. And I was like, okay, great. And I keep looking out the window. I'm thinking, this is getting thick. Sure enough, delayed. We were on the plane for an hour when they said, the snow is too thick. We can't de-ice. We need to wait for the snow to melt before we can actually take off. Of course, the airplane, I'm like, safety first, absolutely. But I was so ticked off because in my mind, I thought, oh my gosh, did I jinx this situation? No, it happened. So anyways, we deboard and we finally make our way to Vancouver, missed our connection. Here's the thing. This is very humbling, is that we had business class or first class tickets all the way to Honolulu. And I love it. It's an experience. I am so blessed. I appreciate it. Believe me, every second that I get to sit in the front of the plane, I love it. And no, I don't feel entitled. I love being up there and I feel like I deserve being up there. But when you're rebooking your trip, because you missed your connection, you're thrown wherever there's a spot. Not only were we not in business class that we paid for, we were in middle seats separated by many aisles. So the experience that I was looking forward to and being in first class with my husband did not happen. Did I jinx it? I don't know. Positive mental attitude was that we got there safe, 100%. That's beside the point. But I wanted to tell you about my plan A, B, C, D. Listen, if I didn't think of it, maybe it wouldn't have happened. I don't know. But your beliefs and your belief system is the foundation for all achievement. So the problem is, coming back to this idea, is that what you believe and how you think ends up absolutely affecting the outcome of a situation, a circumstance, a business, a relationship. The problem is that tactics alone fail. And the self-improvement industry fixates on tactics. They sell you those $20 tools and those quick wins. They love that you can't actually be, quote, healed or improved, because then you just keep going back. It's like the Kool-Aid. It's like the candy. It's like the dessert. You just keep going back for more. It's a buffet. They love that maybe you're making a little bit of progress, but not enough to be healed, because they need the business. They sell you on these productivity systems. But the problem is that when you have those without the right belief foundation, you fail. You see, ChatGPT and AI can give you so many things to create any program for you. I remember creating a detailed kind of resume of me and my hormones and my age, my whole history. And I said, I want to gain more muscle. Based on that information, what do I need to do to work out? How much protein should I be eating a day and all this stuff? Then I took a transcript from Dr. Stacy Sims. She was on the Huberman Labs. And then there was another transcript from another doctor that had all the information I needed. And then I added that to the conversation. And let me tell you, it was the most beautiful output of information that I shared with a friend who is an expert in this space and said, oh my God, that is so good. The problem is that, here's the problem, is I have this information. It's freely at our disposal. I could start eating that way. I could start sleeping. I could start drinking the fluids that is recommended and lifting the weights in the manner that is suggested. The problem isn't the access to the right information. The problem is we're told to just try harder. The problem isn't in not knowing what to do, but in following through. The problem is feeling stuck despite having all the tools and the knowledge. And why being told try harder rarely works. It's because it relies on willpower. Willpower is not necessarily a finite resource. It eventually depletes. And because it doesn't address the underlying cognitive thing that's at play, the underlying issue, it kind of just dissipates. So, for instance, your conscious mind says, work out today. But your subconscious identity still says, well, I'm just not that person. So what is the mindset shift that is responsible for 80% of my results? This is my math, my girl math. It's a fundamental shift. Get it? Moving from outcome-based goals, like I want to gain 10 pounds of muscle, like I want to lose weight, like I want to make more money, like I want to be a better mother. These are outcome-based goals, and shifting towards identity-based change. From outcome-based to identity-based change. What is an example of that? It's saying, well, I want to make $1 million. And that's great, but it fails because if you can't identify as the person who actually makes $1 million, then you won't succeed. I need to be a better mom. That's an outcome, a very vague outcome. But what does that mean? It means being more, attentive to my kids' needs. See, our brains are wired to maintain consistency with our identity. When you change your identity, you change your outcome. The balance of belief and action is this. It's belief without action is delusion, but action without belief is unsustainable. Here are some examples of identity shifts that create success. And this could be in business, in life, whatever. So you can go from saying something like, I need more clients, to saying to yourself, I am an authority in my industry and people are lining up to buy from me. You can go from saying, I should post more content on social media, to telling yourself and making yourself believe that you are a consistent content creator. You could say, I need to network more, to saying something like, I am a natural connector. When you begin to identify as the person that achieves the outcome, it changes everything. That's what happened to me at CrossFit. I've stopped talking about it because I've stopped doing it. But let me tell you, CrossFit was something that I was addicted to for years. I did it for like 10 years and I'd go 5 or 6 days a week. When I first started, it was hard. The first couple of years were really hard because you're getting the fundamentals, you're building up the rhythm, the system, the techniques, all this stuff, and really getting a lay of the land. And then when you actually start building strength, it's a game changer. But I remember walking into a gym and the coach there, and this wasn't the gym that I usually work out at, the coach said in that morning, hey, welcome athletes. And I said, athletes? I go, no. For me, CrossFit was just a really grueling workout that allowed me to stay fit. But identify as an athlete was, no, I'm not an athlete. An athlete competes. Haha. Welcome athletes. And I thought, okay, I'm an athlete then. And I kept hearing it more and more in the CrossFit world. And what they were trying to do, it was strategic and it was smart, was to make everybody that walks through the doors of a CrossFit gym to believe and identify as an athlete. The moment I put on that hat that I identified as a CrossFit athlete was the moment everything changed for me in the industry. I started signing up for in-house competitions and partner competitions and podiuming and like winning in-house competitions because I identified as an athlete. I no longer was just the person that went to work out 5 or 6 days a week, but actually walked around a little bit taller, believing that I was a CrossFit athlete. So where in your life can you be doing this? I want to bring light to this really cool example. The founder of Poppy. So Allison Ellsworth, she sold Poppy to PepsiCo for $2 billion. Now you can imagine new drinks, alternative sodas are a dime a dozen. There's so many exist. She was someone who wanted to create a healthier soda alternative, and she wasn't going to settle for anything less. She took small actions on a daily basis that actually supported this identity of being someone that can kind of go face to face with the soda industry. She had kitchen experiments. She mixed fruits with apple cider vinegar, just putting things together that most people wouldn't consider in a soda. The pivotal moment for her came when she went to farmers markets and she rebranded her company from, I think it was Mother Beverage, to Poppy. So this rebrand. You know, she's working through farmers markets, doing this from her kitchen. So she probably hasn't identified this person who would eventually sell to Pepsi for $2 billion. The resilience test came for her when launching during the pandemic, when there was an aluminum can shortage, and she was constantly fundraising. So these are those moments when it really goes to test you. Do you really want to keep doing this? And her viral breakthrough happened when she leveraged TikTok to share her story. And one in particular, there was a story that generated $100,000 in sales in one day, according to her TikTok. The key takeaway in all of this was that Allison didn't just believe her way to success. She paired her belief with consistent action that built evidence of her new identity as a beverage entrepreneur. So here is my test for you. There is this method on creating your new identity, and it goes as simple as this. Identify the identity that would naturally help you achieve your goals. Now you need to create small wins that would build evidence of your new identity. This could mean going to the gym twice a week as opposed to never going at all. It's those tiny little actions. It could be as simple as putting your workout clothes out before you go to bed, regardless of you going to the gym the next day. It's the tiny actions. The next step is to use identity-based language in your daily self-talk. I know I look out the window and up at the sky all the time and I talk to myself. So these are the I am statements. These reframe your internal dialogue. For me, even before this recording, I went to the bathroom and I was sitting there and I was like, I am the person who can create a 350 person event for the Pink Square Project. I am the person. The more you say I am, the more that you actually fundamentally start to believe it. Then the last step is to recognize when old identity beliefs are voting against you, right? So like there's all these things, these voting that goes on in your brain. Should I work out at 6 a.m.? Should I do it at 4 p.m.? You should do it at 4 p.m. because of this. And like, it's like one side against the other. You're voting about what's the easiest way to do it. What's the most comfortable outcome, not the scariest outcome. You see, we always default to what we know, what's familiar. Recognize when that old identity is pulling all the votes. And then recognize also too that there's identity traps. Like, I'm not good at this. I can't do this. I was told I was stupid in grade school. So who am I to be a successful entrepreneur? You remember, you don't need to find yourself in all of this. You need to create yourself. This is the successful entrepreneurs, the successful athletes and mothers are people that are recreating or creating themselves every single day. They believe in the goal because they identify as the person who can sell their product to Pepsi for $2 billion. They believe that they're this tall, skinny, middle-aged woman who was told she will never be strong because it's impossible for a tall person to build muscle, to identifying as an athlete and winning competitions and podiuming with a partner at a competition while her favorite CrossFit athlete is watching. Success isn't about forcing yourself to do hard things, although it helps. It's about becoming the person who naturally does those things, but more importantly, believes that they can do it. If you need to be instilled with a little bit more belief, I urge you to come out to the Pink Square Project, June 12th, Kelowna, BC. Here's the last few podcasts you're going to hear about me talking about this, but you should really come. I'm telling you, it's going to be a wicked time. Tickets are still selling. We're going to sell out for sure. Go to thepinksquareproject.com. Check me out on Instagram, Renee_Warren. And good luck to shifting your mindset to identifying, becoming the person who has already achieved that outcome. Until next time, ladies, peace out.